Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Pup. We are back with the PPL Week 1. If you guys didn't see my draft analysis last week, make sure you go check it out. And if you guys are looking for the battle, that'll be up tomorrow. But you guys should stick around, see what I'm bringing against a great opponent in this one, and see all my thoughts and everything that goes into this game. But in Week 1, we're taking on Linz here, who just made her return to draft in the BUBL, so great league, obviously. She just took down Seabad, played really well against a ton of other great opponents. So I'm sure she's going to be cooking this season, and we're going to have to stop it. So we're going to have a tough time here for sure. She is a sun-based team. Honestly, rain as well. She did dual weather in the BUBL, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that again here. Let's go over the teams. If you guys didn't see my draft analysis, I've got a Terra Iron Treads, Cinderace, Lomomola, Terra Como, Thundy T, Zarude, Azelf, Sylveon, Klefki, Regidrago, Basculin, and Swalot. And then Linz's squad, she has a Gouging Fire, a Terra Walking Wake, a Hatterene, Corviknight, Terra Overquill, Raikou, Ursaluna Bloodmoon, Torkoal, Politoed, Hisuian Lilligant, and a Terra Arbalava. So just an absolutely terrifying team in general. I think just some overall thoughts. Sun is really good into me. Rain is not so good into me. Even though Overquill, I think, could put up some fun stuff. I don't think the Rain's that good into me, especially because Gouging Fire and Walking Wake smoke my team. Same with Hisuian Lilligant. So I think we're going to see hard Sun in this game for sure. Well, let's go over everything in specific detail. So let's start with Gouging Fire, who's just one of the best mons in the format, especially this reduced standard. So there are like two sets that I expect to, come into me because they could be really solid. First of all, is going to be Choice Banded or like a Photosynthesis booster attack sort of thing. And Heat Crash or Flare Blitz, especially in the sun, just like Oko, half of the Pokemon on my team. That's actually an understatement. And Oko is like 75% of my team from full, which is really tough. I don't have great resists. I do have like a Como that could potentially be physically defensive, or a Lomomola, but that's where the second set gets me. Bulky Dragonance. So sub Morning Sun Dragonance with either Heat Crash or Scale Shot, 4 of those 5 moves can sub up on my like Lomomola and just like DD all over me. Make sure that they can get to like +6s versus me, which is very, very bad. And then if they're Morning Sun in the sun, they're going to heal up 2/3 of their health. They could also just be like leftovers, so they can run Heat Crash plus Scale Shot, which I think is a solid idea as well. And they have coverage for all of my team, and they just destroy me. So it sets up super well on the Aloe, or even something like Klefki if they get a sub up on like my swap. If I want to use Klefki to like, foul play or, have an Okaberry Pokemon for it. But yeah, just the dual scraps are really good to me. They could also run EQ if they wanted over like the Heat Crash. I don't think it's quite as good in this game, but it definitely could happen, especially if they do expect me to bring Okaberries, which makes a lot of sense. But when the sun goes up, they're going to get a free boost from the Photosynthesis ability. I'm very much assuming it's going to be attack. Speed is also a good option. Anything else is just really weird in this game. But this Pokemon goes absolutely crazy. It'll be crazy if it doesn't come. Next up is Walking Wake, which is the Terra Pokemon, which this is even stronger into my team, which is no fun. It's super scary. Doesn't help that it's the Terra Captain, so they can go Terra Dragon or Terra Water to boost up their stabs. But I also expect Terra Electric, so they can blow up a Lomomola. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if they're going to be Choice Specs or Mystic Water, which are 2 of the 3 items I expect. I also think it could be Choice Scarf, and this thing also has the Photosynthesis ability, so it's going to get a boost in the sun. If they're Photosynthesis speed, I think it's probably just going to be Choice Specs, so they outrun everything on my team, and then like Specs destroys everything on my team. Also could be Mystic Water on that, but I think Specs makes a little bit more sense, so they can boost the Dracos as well. And if they are special attack boosting, then I think it should be Scarf, but it also could be Specs to just like blow through my entire team. So they have options. They have Hydro Steam, Draco Meteor, which both can miss. I think Flamethrower is also a solid option, and then Flip Turn. They could also bring like Dragon Pulse if they want. If they're not going to be Choice, I think that makes a lot of sense, so they aren't lowering their special attack. But yeah, overall, this Pokemon is just impossible to switch into, especially if I guess their Terra type wrong. Like normally I would say Terra Water looks really good into me, but I have an Aloe, and if I run AV Regenerator, then they can't touch that thing. So they run Terra Dragon, they run Terra Electric, and they kind of get me there. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up is Hatterene, which is their only Fairy type on the team. So it's like the one thing that's in the way of Regidrago. I also think Magic Bounce here is nice because of Klefki being really annoying into their team, because Spikes and Thunder Wave spam is really, really free besides that. And it also, forces me to not really be able to get up rocks. It makes me Terra my Como. It's just a pretty annoying Pokemon in general. They also have Mystical Fire in the Sun, which can like destroy my Iron Treads on a switch in, or my Klefki. Even if they have no investment, just because this Pokemon has naturally a ton of special attacks, so that's going to be tough. But I fully expect some like very specially defensive set to take on Regidrago, or like a Como boosting set. But I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Trick Room offensive type, because that could work really well. But I could also see like Nuzzle screens with Healing Wish, because that could easily flip the game in her favor. Next up is Corviknight. This is the first guy that I don't really expect from her team. If it comes, it's mostly just like for U-turn and defog, and it's like really just like kind of setup fodder. So, I mean, I don't really care if it comes. I'd be pretty happy, but it can give them some nice momentum into Wake with like the slow U-turns. But it gives me setup opportunity, I can set like, it just gives me setup opportunity. It doesn't do anything, which is really nice. But I guess one thing that it could do is set up dual screens if the Hatterene isn't going to be. So dual screens into Gouging Fire or that Hisuian Lilligant in the back could be very scary. So, I mean, it's overall not something that I'm super worried about in this game, but it can be very annoying, especially into the specific team I brought. Next up is Overquill, who's their second Terra guy, but I don't think offensive looks that good into me, especially compared to some of their other threats. They already have like the top three that I mentioned, the Lilligant, the Wake, and the Gouging Fire, that I think all should be very offensive into my squad. I even think Blood Moon Ursaluna is better offensively and Hatterene in this game. I don't think they're bringing all 6 offensive Pokemon in this one. But it just relies on like Swords Dance and Rain to be able to sweep me. It needs Poison and Fire coverage, so you're wasting your Terra kind of on that. And if it comes in this game, I feel like it should just be like fully physically defensive with like Intimidate and Spikes. It could also run T-Spikes, which are pretty solid into me since Swallow is my ground and poison, but I have Treads, I have Court Change Cinderace, I have stuff like that. But since Sun is so much better than the Rain mode into me, I really don't expect this guy to come to the game. Could prove me wrong, could be scary into me, but I really don't see it. Next is Raikou, which is their fastest Pokemon, but lacks coverage at all into my team. I mean, it does get Scald or Aurasphere that can potentially hit my Treads, but it doesn't hit stuff like my Thundurus very hard. So I feel like it's not going to come into this game. Like, even if it does pack that coverage for me, then Sylveon eats up hits. Treads, even if they have the coverage, really eats up hits. And Aloe, if I'm going like Assault Vest, really just eat everything. So I don't respect this guy at all. I did not respect it in the builder at all. I do not think this thing comes, because the only thing it can do is speed. Next is Blood Moon, which is something that I definitely do expect this week. It can be bulky or a fast special attacker. I think an underrated aspect is the speed on this guy, outrunning a lot of my middles. I think with Blood Moon, Hyper Voice, and Earth Power with either Vacuum Wave or Moonlight, potentially Calm Mind is really good into me. Nothing on my team can reliably switch into Blood Moon and threaten a KO, so they can easily trade this thing 1-for-1, which is what scares me. And it pairs really well with a Trick Room mode if they do want to go with Hatterene for that, because it is slower than basically my entire team. So it has that right in the middle speed tier where it can run super fast and outrun all my slow stuff, but it can also run 0 speed and outslow everything. So that makes it pretty annoying. It's just hard to switch into in general, man. This Pokemon is a massive threat, but I think I should have stuff to deal with it, hopefully, because their other biggest threat, the Walking Wake, is another special attacker. So I'm already bringing special attack or special defense investment, so hopefully we should be able to be fine. Next up is Torkoal, who is just like a must bring into this game. If I had 4 must brings, it's obviously Gouging Fire, it's going to be Walking Wake, it's got to be Hisuian Lilligant, and then it's Torkoal for sure. I mean, the Sun is just going to boost their entire team. There's like 2 Pokemon that don't love the Sun on their squad. But also this thing looks good into me. They don't love my Cinderace. This Pokemon is very physically defensive and can always take out the hits. Can always take Zarude hits as well, because Knockoff and Power Whip are super free into basically the rest of the team, especially if I ignore the Corviknight that I don't think comes to this game, and the Overquill that I also don't think is very good into me. But this thing should also always be like Heat Rock Lava Plume, Rapid Spin, Body Press, Rocks, Yawn, Clear Smog potentially. They have some options, but I think Heat Rock and Fizz Def just make too much sense into me not to bring. Next is Politoed, and like I said before, Rain is just not good at all. If it comes, it should be Water Absorb because it deals with my Aloe. It can switch into Aloe. I'm pretty sure it has Baton Pass, so Baton Pass is out after it takes my flip turns, heals itself up. I am forced to swap out, and they're going to get free momentum with that. So they can easily go like Walking Wake, and I'm like, where am I supposed to go now? They basically are going to get a free kill. So that could happen. I don't expect it to, but it could be really annoying. I also think like Perish Song could be solid on this, especially like Whirlpool Perish Song, because then you can really trap Aloe. But it's really not that great into me. It's kind of a momentum sucker if I'm not bringing in Aloe for most of the game, which I won't if that Pokemon comes, because I know exactly what it can do to me. Next up, we have Hisuian Lilligant, who is just one of the scariest guys here. I very much expect Victory Dance with the dual stabs, so close combat, and then Leaf Blade I think should come. It could also be Solar Blade, especially if they're going with that full Sun mode, although I don't think it's nearly as good as Leaf Blade. And then I think there's two moves that could be in that last slot. I think Encore makes the most sense. As I went through my mocks, I was really worried about Sleep Powder, which is the other move, but Encore is really what got to me. Being able to Encore me into any like healing option or bulk up or any setup stuff, and then just being able to Victory Dance up and destroy my team was very scary. It also could be Sleep Powder, which is less reliable, but it can be used in a lot more situations. That 75% accurate is really tough there, especially if you're going Hustle. I do expect like Adamant, Life Orb, Chlorophyll, and not to go for Hustle, but if they want to, they can go Jolly Hustle and try to outrun more stuff on my team. Last note, I would be a little bit surprised to see Ice move. They could be Triple Axle or Ice Spinner. I don't think either of them are very good into me, but if they're super worried about like Como or Regidrago, I could see it coming potentially. But that just means this Pokemon's not nearly as threatening because no Encore or Sleep Powder or Victory Dance. Like they have to get rid of one of those, which will make it way better. And then last but certainly not least is their Terra Arboliva. Honestly, there's no reason for this to come when Wake is the obvious Terra in this game. Even Overquill could get away with Terra, but Arboliva, like, you're not going to waste your Terra on this Pokemon in this specific matchup. And they already have a Grass type in Hisuian Lilligant. They don't love taking hits for my Cinderace in this team, so just having another weak Pokemon to it is tough. If it does come, I do expect like decently speedy so it can outrun my Alomomola and then just blow that thing up. Honestly, speedy in general is pretty good for the same reasons as I outlined with the Ursaluna Blood Moon. But another fun set it could be is Custap Harvest. So it uses its Custap Berry. In the Sun, Harvest gives you back your berry 100% of the time. So it's going to move first every single time. In the Sun, it gets Weather Ball, so fire coverage. You have a Fairy move, like Alluring Voice. You have Earth Power. You have Solar Beam or Energy Ball or Giga Drain. You have all that sort of stuff. Hyper Voice, even if you want to click it. And it has a very strong special attack, so it could definitely do that. It could also work if they want to bring like the Trick Room option that we talked about earlier. So definitely a scary Pokemon in my squad. Not something that I super expect, and if it does come to the game, I don't think it should be the Terra Captain. But it could be a serviceable threat. I'm not really respecting it that much in the builder, but it could be a threat. The first Pokemon on my team is going to be my designated lead with a Choice Specs Sylveon. Hyper Voice with Pixelate is just insane into their team. They don't have anything that really one-shots it, except for potentially a Choice Banded Gouging Fire on lead. Even Choice Specs Terra Water Walking Wake should not one-shot me on lead. So we can Hyper Voice versus most of their team. If they do lead with that Walking Wake, we have a chance to OHKO them if they are no investment, as they don't OHKO me back. Gouging Fire, if we don't see Photosynthesis or like if we don't think they're Choice Banned, I have chances to do like 80% to that Pokemon. Hatterene takes a billion. Corviknight does not want to switch in. Nothing on their team really wants to switch in. Even Torkoal, which I do expect to be physically defensive, will take 50% and potentially get 2-hit KO'd. So they have no good switch into this Pokemon. But the real fun part about the set is Weather Ball. So when they set up that Sun, I'm going to get Weather Ball Fire, which means if they do have the Corviknight, I'm going to be able to OHKO that thing. If they bring that Pokemon, it should probably be specially defensive, or potentially could be specially defensive. So it could be annoying, and switching to my Hyper Voices. I'm going to bait that thing in, and I'm going to click Weather Ball, and it's going to be glorious. I hope that happens for sure. But also Weather Ball is just very strong into their team in general. I can also click it if it's a fairy type move normally for me because of Pixelate and it already gets boosted. So it's a solid click no matter what, even if the sun ends up going away, which I have to remember. Then we also have Quick Attack on the set, which is mostly there for the Hisuian Lilligant, just to be able to get a super effective hit off on that Pokemon, which would be really nice. It doesn't do as much damage, especially if they get a Victory Dance off, but it can pick that Pokemon off, especially if they're Sash, which is something that could come in this game. And then it's also able to pick off weakened Gouging Fires and Walking Wakes, which is really nice. So we were very specially invested. Obviously, with the choice specs, we're going to be hitting as strong as possible with the 168 HP, which should put us out of range of the Walking Wake choice specs Terra Water. And then 88 speed, I think that outruns the Ursaluna Blood Moon if they are max speed modest, which outruns, a decent amount of stuff on their team too, so they don't hit me with anything like any of those slow Pokemon at all. Next up, we are going to be Como. This is my Terra Captain that I'm expecting to Terra this week with Terra Fairy. This makes a lot of sense because I don't want to get gooped by Choice Specs Terra Dragon, Walking Wake. That thing can do a ton of damage into me, so we're bringing fully specially defensive Como here. With the Terra Fairy, obviously we're not going to resist the Hydro Steams after we Terra, but that's why I have Protect. I can, kind of scout what move they're going for, especially because I do expect them to be Scarfed or Specs on that Pokemon. And it helps me get Leftovers Recovery, which is really nice. Then we have Terra Blast, which does a lot of damage if they're Terra Dragon, which does a lot of damage into basically everything on their team. Drain Punch is also great because we get more health back. And then we have Bulk Up, so I can raise my defense and attack. So this Pokemon can easily snowball through their squad because they don't have anything that hits the Fairy type very well. Their Steel type is Corviknight, which does not hit it at all. And then their Poison type is Overquill, which I don't think is great in this game. And I can also Drain Punch through that Pokemon anyways. So this Pokemon has the potential to sweep. Definitely can be really nasty into their squad, especially with that, full Spadef investment, so they're not able to do anything. Even in the late game, we have a lot of, natural physical bulk, so we can bulk up alongside that Gouging Fire if they're going to be a Dragon Dance variant, and potentially beat that thing 1v1. It is going to be risking crits for sure, but I can go alongside it if we need to in a pinch. And then last, we have the ability Soundproof. In this game, it's really nice for Ursaluna Blood Moon because I can, Hyper Voice does nothing. Earth Power also does nothing, but not literally nothing because Hyper Voice does 0 with Soundproof. And then if they want a Blood Moon, they can only Blood Moon every other turn. I can just click Protect and I'll be fine there. Obviously, they can, try to predict, play around that. But it really puts me in a good situation where I can kind of bulk up in their face, give those free boosts, Drain Punch my health back, and just be very annoying to their squad. So this thing is my Ursaluna Blood Moon check. It is my Walking Wake check. Hopefully I should be able to check both those things. Also, if the Raikou is there for no reason, it's definitely my Raikou check as well. It also could be an Arboliva check. It could be a Hatterene check. It could check half of their squad, honestly. So just a really good Pokemon in this matchup and something that I definitely could see winning this whole game on the spot. Third up, we're going to have our Alomomola here. I had a hard time deciding what to do because I feel like bringing Alomomola is kind of a death sentence into a lot of matchups, especially when we see the Dragon Dance sub potential of Gouging Fire. That Pokemon's super scary, or Lilligant that can Encore me into Scald or something and just Victory Dance in my face, or Sleep Powder, Victory Dance, blah blah blah, do a lot of stuff. So I am gonna have to play this thing a little bit interesting. We do have Alluring Voice, which means we go through sub, we should be able to hit stuff like the Gouging Fire so they get confused when we DD, which is beautiful. I can flip turn out, obviously, but it's not going to break Gouging Fire sub, especially if the sun is up, but it's not even going to break it, even if they have 0 investment at all. So we're just going to have to play around that. I mean, it's really just some good momentum, and the Rocky Helmet is really important, making sure that if they are like a Choice Banded set, that they're not going to be able to break through my team because I break them back with the helmet first, and I just flip turn, I protect, I wish, I do all that sort of stuff. With Regenerator and Protect, I'm able to stall out a lot of Sun turns as well in the late game, so if we're able to get rid of that Torkoal earlier on, then I don't have to play on the back foot so much. And then Wish is really nice for my team. The idea with this, originally I did have Assault Vest, so I had a backup answer to the Walking Wake. But when I'm going to lead the Sylveon, I'm probably going to want that thing to get back to full health later in the game so I can, just blow more things up, which is why we have Protect on this, so I can hopefully pass those Protects, or pass the Wishes back to the Sylveon. I can even pass it back to the Komao if that thing ends up getting low, and just be able to, build up my defensive core all throughout this game. Now, I am a little bit worried about, getting taken advantage of and getting swept, so I just have to be a little bit careful about what I'm doing with this. Also, if we see Politoed, like I said earlier, I have to be really careful when I bring this Pokemon out. Probably just doubling with it when the Politoed is in the game, because I think the Water Absorb set could be very annoying for me. But that's Aloe. Probably a Pokemon that you will see a lot throughout the season, but we're going to have to be really prepared, especially against these great caliber players, because they know how to deal with this Pokemon. Next up is going to be my Regidrago. Maybe not a Pokemon that you'd expect to see in this game when their top 2 Pokemon are dragons, but it's really great here. With the Habanberry, we're taking half damage from their first dragon attack, which is bad into Scale Shot Gouging Fire, but I don't think that they bring that. I don't think that that's their best option, at least. But the Walking Wake is really what we're bringing this for. If they want to Draco Meteor me, Choice Specs Terra Dragon, we always live that from full. That's what our 12 special defense investment means. And then we just destroy them back with the Draco Meteor. We can even Scale Shot ourselves and boost our speed faster than them, and then just be able to click Draco or another Scale Shot, which is really nice. They have one Fairy, which is Hatterene, so I can Earth Power that thing. That's really what the coverage is for, but it also hits something like Torkoal on like that neutral hit. Also hits like the Overquill, Raikou, all that stuff on like a neutral hit. And then Dragon Energy, if we're going to be at full HP, this thing is going to be better than Draco Meteor, so we just, destroy their team. They obviously have a Corviknight and that Hatterene, which can take the attacks decently well, but Dragon Energy at full will probably just like 2 or 3 at KO Corviknight. They really don't want to take that stuff. And yeah, it's just going to be really annoying for them to deal with. I do have a mild nature, so this is plus special attack and minus a defense, because I wanted to have attack investment for Scale Shot, because I want it to be able to do more damage to that Gouging Fire. I want to be able to break that thing sub with 2 and be able to hit them with an extra 1. So I want to be able to get the damage on that. I want to not just let them bait me missing over and over, which could be really annoying. I also wanted it to do extra damage to the Walking Wake, just in case we do end up getting like 3 or 4 hits. To be able to knock that thing out, that would be huge for me. So this Pokemon's really strong into their squad in general. I just spam those dragon moves, and it can help me out of a bind for sure, because getting rid of that Walking Wake or getting rid of the Gouging Fire early on in the game can, net me an easy win in this one. So that's why we got this guy. Hopefully, this set actually works, and we do bait them into using Haban. But even if they don't end up using those Pokemon to beat me, as soon as Hatterene's gone, as soon as Corviknight's gone, I just basically get a kill every single time I come in, because I don't think either of their, or any of their Terra Captains are going to be Terra Fairy in this battle. Next up is going to be our Cinderace. This is a Choice Scarfer, because I do expect the Walking Wake to be Booster Speed or Choice Scarf. They're going to be one or the other. I want to be able to outrun that thing. I also want to be able to outrun a +1 Hisuian Lilligant without Chlorophyll, because we always one-shot that thing with Pyro Ball, which is really nice. Even with the +1 defense boost, we just easily one-shot that thing. And then the Walking Wake, they do end up tearing like Electric, which I could definitely expect, into the Alomomola. Pyro Ball does a ton to them. If not, then we just click High Jump Kick. They don't have a Ghost type on their team, and I don't think Terra Ghost makes any sense at all into my squad. So we just High Jump Kick spam versus the team. We can hit the Gouging Fire and the Walking Wake really hard with that. But Walking Wake also takes a decent bit to U-turn, so if we're just able to get in, we can keep U-turning, we can keep turning around, go to Aloe, flip turn, go to Cinderace, U-turn, kind of use it like that and get some guaranteed damage on that, put it lower for the late game, and, just be able to break through their team a little bit better. We also have Court Change as the last move, just in case they do want to get up Spikes or T-Spikes or even Stealth Rocks. Obviously, we're not heavy-duty boots, so it's going to be pretty annoying, and we will be locked into Court Change after we use it because of our Choice Scarf. But it still could be very clutch in the end because my last Pokemon has a Focus Sash. But yeah, this guy is probably, could be an MVP of the team if we do end up playing that long battle where we have to keep clicking U-turn versus their squad and just chipping them down. Obviously, they have a Torkoal that can be annoying and take hits from me, but they don't want to bring the Torkoal in because it gives me so many opportunities to just blow up their team with stuff like Regidrago and my last Pokemon, which is Iron Treads with Terra Water here. Terra Water is really just a bait Terra type because I am never switching this thing in on anything, really. It's always coming in for free because I want to keep this Focus Sash intact. I want to keep this Pokemon in the back for as long as possible because it is a catch-all for the Gouging Fire. It's a catch-all for the Hisuian Lilligant. It's a catch-all for the Walking Wake. It takes one hit from any of those Pokemon, obviously, with the Focus Sash, and then Earthquake is really strong versus the top 2 dragons. And then we also have Heavy Slam, which is great into the Hisuian Lilligant. Should just be able to one-shot that thing from full, which is really nice, especially if they close combat me. They will easily die. But we have Rapid Spin on this as well, just in case they get up T-Spikes, and I don't have to worry about it, or if my Focus Sash gets broken earlier in the game, then I can spin on rocks or regular spikes. Supercell Slam is there to do extra damage to the Corviknight, and if they're especially defensive, since I am an adamant nature, I should be 2-hit KOing that Corviknight, which is really nice. They do have one ground type that could potentially switch into it. No Terras into ground for sure in this game. But they don't really want to switch that Ursaluna Blood Moon in on this Pokemon, because if I get an Earthquake off on that thing, then it is very weakened, and it does nothing to my Iron Treads anyways. It's Forced Earth Power, which does nothing versus the rest of my team. So this Pokemon is just going to be really nice. I'm going to try to keep it as long as possible in the back. Definitely going to be tearing my Como in this game, not the Iron Treads, but it's really there just to make sure, like, when the Walking Wake is in front of it, do I click Hydro Steam? Do I click Draco Meteor? What am I clicking versus them? That puts me in a little bit of a better position, because if they Hydro Steam me and if they get that burn, it could be very brutal for me. And it also, you know, it's nice to conserve the HP on this Pokemon if I'm against the Gouging Fire. And they're like, oh, should I Outrage or Scale Shot while you Terra Water? That's the only way I'm going to pick up the KO. It's that Terra 50-50. I'm never going to Terra this thing. If they end up getting that 50-50 wrong, oh yeah, well now I'm here with 60% of my life still, and I didn't need that Focus Sash. But we have it just in case we need it. It looks really strong into this game, and hopefully this team is going to be able to pull me to a victory. It's a very tough squad that we're facing up against for sure. I think Sun battles are always really tough for me. The Paradox Pokemon are just incredible in this generation. I always have a hard time going up against weather of any kind, but hopefully we should be able to do it. I think Aloe is a really great weather breaker in general, just being able to stall out those turns and, you know, having a lot of HP on that thing. So hopefully, you know, we don't get taken advantage of with that Pokemon, and we're able to get, you know, our Cinderace in to do a lot of damage, maybe Como to get set up, and the Sylveon to just blow things up with Choice Specs. So that's going to be it for the Team Builder. Hope you guys enjoyed. The battle will be up tomorrow. And this will be the same for every week. And I hope you guys enjoy the PPL. We're hoping for another championship, especially with this crazy competition. So yeah, that's going to be about it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.